I'm Mel from Vintage Speedtrials. I just thought I would introduce myself and give you a bit of background about why I got involved. So my passion for pre-war racing cars started at a very young age. My father, Peter Shaw, restored mainly Maseratis pre-war, but other racing cars as well. And much of my childhood was spent going to race meetings and seeing these amazing machines race around tracks like Silverstone, Donington, Cadwell Park, etc, etc. Obviously Dad retired and I still try and get to some of those meetings, but when I heard that there was a speed trial event that was going to hopefully happen very close to where I live, I'm afraid there was no way that I wasn't going to be involved in that. So I contacted Richard Powell and we met and had a chat about what I could offer and why I wanted to be involved. And luckily he was happy with what I said and welcomed me warmly into the team. That was 5 years ago. We are now, Richard and I, the only ones standing from the original team and the main two directors of Vintage Speedtrials at the moment. But we have a massive array of volunteers and helpers who we just couldn't run the events without. Of course, we have the people who are helping us up to the day, people who help us set up. We've got the same guy who helps us with the marquees every year, people who help with film and photography, and our marshal volunteers who do an array of jobs on the day, who absolutely we couldn't do that without. So my role at Vintage Speedtrials, if you've been an entrant, you will no doubt recognise me. I'm there early in the morning to help you sign on, and I'm emailing you lots up until the event, hopefully keeping you with enough information. So if you wanted to enter your car to the speed trials, your entry would come through to me. I would go through the criteria and see if it was eligible, make sure we weren't getting too many cars of the same type or motorbikes, and then fingers crossed offer you a place. We usually have about 100 entrants all in all, so yeah, it's quite a busy time for me, just juggling all of what needs to be done with the entrants, what they need to know, writing the handbook for the day and making sure that they've got every detail that they would need to come safely and make it the most enjoyable day for them. On the day, as I said, I'm there bright and early signing on, and then throughout the day I feel like I don't stop walking about doing this, that and the other really. I will just muck in with everything, and if anyone wants to sign on late, then I manage to find them and we get them signed on if they want to go on the track. That's usually like passengers and stuff with that happens, but there's also, as you can imagine, quite a lot going on in the day, so you usually see me running around later on in the day. The lead up to the event is also really busy. Obviously we have a marshals briefing, so I contact all the marshals, make sure that they're happy about what they want to do, what particular jobs they might have that they're particularly interested in, dole out all the jobs, and yeah, arrange a meeting up at Grimsthorpe now for yeah, what's going to happen on the day, so that they are clear about what's happening on the day. They also need signing on first thing in the morning on the event day. So yeah, the day before I'm usually there till pretty late, making sure everything's all set up for when the public arrive the next morning. So yeah, busy time usually this time of year for us, but absolutely worth it. When we're there on the day and you see people's faces, smiling faces, people having fun. Last year was a great example of that. The sun was shining. It was a real sort of garden party feel with the cars and bikes on the track, and just an absolute wonderful day. And when I'm walking around the area on the day and just seeing everyone's happy faces, that just makes it for us, and I'm extremely proud to be part of it. So yeah, that's me really, and I hope that we'll see you there next year. So on the theme of pre-war cars, this one's mine. It's a baby Bugatti, or a tulip bug as they're also known. This one's actually been in our family's possession for about 40 years, but as a box of bits really, as a kit. I had to wait quite a while for it. My dad put it together, Peter Shaw, and yeah, I got it about 3 or 4 years ago, but it was worth the wait. It's a half scale, known as the this one's known as the Bugatti Type52, but it's based on the Bugatti Type52, and I think the detail is pretty amazing. The two-seater appearance of the Type 35 means that 2 children could squeeze in if they're about the size of my model here, but also an adult can sit in as well. The adjustable accelerator here, as you can see, that the green strip is obviously the grass underneath it at the moment, means that it can be moved for different ages to drive it, from 5 years to 75, it says on the website. The handbrake on the outside, nicely demonstrated there, thank you. Means that it's really simple to drive with the accelerator and the handbrake. Can you turn the wheel for me? Turning circles are a bit tight, but it is actually great fun to drive. Can we see the engine? Can we see the engine? So the engine's situated behind the seat. I'll show you in detail there.
Well, welcome to another part of Aladdin's Cave here at One Sadler Road. I'd like to show you around the workshop and show you a little bit about what we do here, and I hope it will be of interest. So I'd like to show you some of the things we've got in the workshop at the moment, some of the things we're busy with. I'm fortunate enough, obviously, to, for a living, work with metal, and some of you might be familiar with the video we showed you earlier talking about the Q-Type. Well, I've used these skills to the max this week. We've been working on a new front cowl which goes over the front of the supercharger, the MG logo very clear here. Essentially, we're making a new cowl, and the reason being that this one is the old one, and it was really suffering. It was suffering from metal fatigue, and several repairs have been done, and it really wasn't up to the job. So I bit the bullet and decided we were going to make an entirely new one. This is not actually a historic part. We haven't damaged anything historic. This was only made in the sort of the late 1990s. So, but it's showing its age already, being soft aluminium. So we're making an entirely new front end, and I think you'll agree it's well on its way. Some of the technical aspects that some of you may be interested in. You see this this blister here. We've got to form this, and this goes about here on the car. This blister acts as a piece of clearance for the carburettor and mechanism that's below it, and essentially we've got to put this blistered metalwork in the new part. Now the way we do that is we make a we make a form, this again out of aluminium because it's soft and malleable. We make this form which gets bolted on to the appropriate place on the shroud, and then the metal gets bashed through, I say bashed, carefully shaped, I should say. We've got a series of interesting hammers that we use for this process, and we do that into a sandbag, which some of you may be familiar with. So the actual form gets hammered from the back, and then it blisters up, hopefully in a nice shape, and that will be the feature for this part of the MG front. So that's some of the skills that we're bringing to bear on the restoration or the recommissioning of the MG Q-Type that we talked about earlier. So I thought that might be of interest. And now I'm going to take you through to another part of the workshop where we're going to see a 1934 BSA three-wheeler. Okay, so what I thought might be of interest is if I show you a little bit about this fantastic 1934 BSA. It's got an interesting history, and as you can see from the shots here, that the patina is as original. We've left this unmolested. We've given the mechanics a good once over, but we haven't actually over restored it in the sense that we haven't got rid of all this lovely character in the bonnet and the bodywork. So it was found essentially in a barn in Oundle, and it had laid there since the 50s, I think, and the owner had sort of given up on a mechanical problem that later we discovered was the gudgeon pinning that holds the piston to the connecting rod had actually was missing a circlip, and it came loose. We've all been there, you know. You've done a lot of work on a car, and then the last straw that broke the camel's back, this thing happened, and we believe what happened was he just laid the car up and forgot about it. Roll forward about 6 years ago, we saw the car advertised, and we bought it, couldn't resist it. It's a very unusual 1934 car in as far as it's 3 wheels, made by the BSA, famous for armaments but also famous for motorcycles, and based in Birmingham. And they were an extremely competent engineering company. They essentially had forges and foundries, engine building plants for all their, obviously, rifles and motorcycles. But this little car was I'm always enamoured by it because of the fact that they built this car specifically to come under the tax threshold, so it allowed people who would previously have had probably a motorcycle and combination. We've all probably familiar with on the buses and Olive in her sidecar. Well, this was the next move up. This was a 3-wheeled vehicle that still came in the motorcycle tax bracket, so enabled people to get out and have a car and go away on holiday and make journeys in it. So it was a little bit of sort of a clever project for the BSA company, because they, I don't know if you can see buried deep down in the engine there, it's a front-wheel drive, so that was unique. A very neat little front-wheel drive package, and essentially the wheel at the rear of the car is just an idle wheel, just on suspension with a very modest brake, and the whole unit, the 3-wheel car, is just a lovely little anachronistic piece of motoring history. I have enormous amounts of fun with it, taking it out to rallies and going to the pub in it. It always draws a crowd. It's a tiny little engine. It's only 998, I think, not quite 1,000 cc's, but it sounds like a Bugatti, although not quite. But it does sound extremely good. It's got a straight-through exhaust, and people always sort of notice it as it comes down the road. So it's certainly one of my favourites, and just like the MG, you know, sadly I'm addicted to collecting these things, and it's going to be one that's going to be in the family for a very long time, because you know, it's got such a personality, really, is the way to put it. A car with a personality. Leading on from vehicles with great personality, obviously at Grimsthorpe Speedtrials we have a plethora of vehicles, both two-wheeled and four-wheeled, and as a reminder of the atmosphere and what a lovely day it can be at Grimsthorpe Castle, we have a video of the highlights of 2019, which was a blistering hot day, and as you can see from the smiles on all the faces, both the motorcyclists and the car drivers, a wonderful day was had by all.
Oily rag condition. VST cars, he's got quite a few to his name, both three-wheelers and four-wheelers. And thank you everybody who's come today in this beautiful sunshine to share with us this second Grimsthorpe Speedtrials.